Welcome to Language Educator Speak. Today, I have the honor of speaking with a TESOL educator who has been teaching English for over 60 years. He's a co-author of two EFR textbooks published by the Dominican Ministry of Education. Also, is a developer of his own arts and reduction program. We will discuss about his experience as a teacher and his points of view about the education system in the age of AI, specifically in Dominican Republic. He is Raúl Billini.
My name is Raúl Billini, and I'm delighted to be here and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you about your life at school and your life on teaching and your profession and your life. I would like to know, first of all, that what makes you feel to be a teacher, and tell us about your experience as a teacher during these 60 years.
Well, I began teaching English when I was a teenager, and I fell in love with it. And I decided to teach at language institutes while I studied at the university. I studied for my profession. Okay. When I graduated, I I got a job. Uh, I was working at many institutes, but I got a scholarship to get a master's degree at the University of Michigan. And I went there and I got a master's degree in linguistics, TESOL, teaching English to speakers of other languages. And then, well, I continued my profession working at universities, language institutes, schools, and then eventually I got a DEA, which is a degree 2 years beyond the master's from Universidad Complutense de Madrid. Okay, and I I usually try to keep myself up to date by attending all workshops and all activities for language teachers, and also by teaching teachers. Okay, and my principal job right now is teaching students who want to study English with me, but also I'm cooperating with language institutes by doing teacher training for them. At this moment, I have like 5 language institutes that use me uh, like maybe 2 times a month to do training for their English teachers. And I love my profession. I love what I do. Okay.
Thanks. What accomplishments are you most proud of?
Well, accomplishments. I think I'm proud of the fact that I'm a professional. Okay, that I have 3 degrees in my field. I'm proud of the fact that I have contributed by writing books in the field, and I'm also proud that I'm helping teachers become better teachers. Okay, I'm a they're all my colleagues, and I want them to teach the best they can.
What key lesson would you give to the new teachers or to the new teacher in this generation?
Well, what advice would I give them? I think I would give them the following advice: that they have to keep up to date with the changes that are happening in linguistics and in language teaching. Eh, when I began, we were teaching basically, some people were still back in the grammar translation type teaching. And then I came into language teaching when it was more audiolingual. Like the teacher went into the class and said, "Listen and repeat," and that's what they did all the class long. And then we changed to another tendency, which is what we call communicative language teaching, which is still very much important today. Uh, and in communicative language teaching, there are many schools have developed. For example, one school is called Natural Approach by Terrell and Krashen, who were my professors by coincidence. And there is also a tendency, which I like a lot, which is lexical approach, which pays much more attention to vocabulary than to grammar. And then contents content-based instruction, which continues to be very communicative. And now people are developing methods, I say in quotation marks, that include some artificial intelligence type teaching. Um, I think a lot of people are abusing artificial intelligence, selling it as something that will magically allow you to learn English. I think it has a lot of uses, and one of the uses is that it can provide practice for people outside of the classroom. Okay, but I still have to see something uh, give me more of a more proof that this is a trend that is going to like exclude teachers. I don't think you can exclude teachers from language teaching.
All right. I would like to know how has changed your role as a teacher during these 60 years because we change the era and we change the lifestyle. The
Okay.
communication style has changed around the world.
Yeah.
So how have
Well,
you changed?
definitely. Well, in a way, I've already answered that question because as communicative language teaching methodologies have changed, teachers have had to change their practices inside the classroom. Okay, and this means that the teacher has to adapt to what
Yes.
to the new tendencies and to the new research in language teaching. Okay, and I have changed. I am not the teacher that began when he was 14 years old.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a totally different teacher. 3 degrees later, attending, and I even spent 12 years as a consultant for different publishing companies, traveling all over Central South America, doing teacher training, and in turn making changes not only in this country but in other countries. Because many times I went to a country and the people were still grammar translation or audiolingual, and I by that time I was communicative, so I had to
Yes.
convince teachers and teach them the techniques and procedures to be teaching with the new generation of books.
Yes. All right. The last question for this section is about the AI. I would like to know your points of view about the technology, the AI, and the future of the Dominican system in the age of AI.
Well, in the age of AI, basically what you have a lot of the things that you see advertised on Instagram and other places, in my opinion, are ripoffs. Okay, they practically promise that you will speak like a native speaker in a few months, and that's not true. Okay, because a lot of they even try to hide the the fact that most of what they sell is the idea that if you parrot, if you repeat after them, you're going to somehow become like a native speaker. Shadowing is nothing more than choral repetition, which is how I began when I taught audiolingually. I said to my students, listen and repeat, and we listened and repeated for most of the class. Okay, I don't think that just repeating is going to solve the problem of learning another language like a native.
Yeah. Okay, but the question I mean, example, the education system has changed, of course, around the world and in Dominican Republic too, because, for example, the Dominican Ministry has made some changing of the teaching style and the virtual side and the presential side.
Sure.
I would like to know specifically what is your point of view about the future of.
I would have to see the materials that are being developed now for that. I have seen some, and they have not impressed me. Okay,
Okay, I
they
agree with
have
you.
the material that I have seen doesn't impress me. And you have to remember something. We are human beings and
Yes.
we interact with each other.
Yes.
Interaction is part of communication. Communication is the exchange of information. We speak to exchange information. And technically, technically, they're going to have to develop artificial intelligence a little bit more because when you are talking with a program, you're not talking with a person.
Yes. I agree with you.
Okay. And the personal interaction is still the what we call the affective domain. Feelings, emotions, likes and dislikes. That is an integral part of language teaching. Another element is I don't think that they're going to be able to put into artificial intelligence something that is very important. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that the language background of the student determines a lot the degree of difficulty that they will have when they're learning a language.
Yes.
Many people, the other day I was teaching a group of teachers from a language institute, and I sort of impacted them when I told them if you tell people that learning English is easy, you're lying to them. And one of them said, "What? What do you mean?" And I said, "It's true. You have to take into consideration that Spanish has 5 vowels that correspond perfectly to 5 graphemes, to 5 letters. English has the same 5 letters, but English has 15 vowel sounds. To go from 5 vowel sounds to 15 vowel sounds is not easy.
No.
But then, if you take into consideration that of our 5 vowel sounds, only 2 can go to English. Ah and E. English does not have E. English has E and E. You cannot go to O. English has no O. English has like 7 different values for the letter O. And English doesn't have U. English has U or U. And then if you calculate that you only have 2 vowels, you have to learn 13 new vowels when you learn English. And that's not easy. I know grammatically English has difficult things, but Spanish has a lot of difficult things grammatically. So what I'm trying to say is I have to see what programs come out, but none of the things that I have seen uh, put on Instagram and other places has satisfied me in terms of
All right.
okay, in terms of being efficient and delivering what they say they can deliver.
I agree with you. Thank you for your points of view, for the opportunity of chatting with you about your experience. As you can see, he's an icon of linguistics in our country. Thank you for your audience, and let's see next time.